Two residing playoff teams looking to recapture their groove. It's the Greenville Triumph and North Carolina FC on ESPN Plus, brought to you by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Welcome one and all to this broadcast. Mark Schoenster here with Ross Davenport, as always, on these Greenville home matches at Paladin Stadium. Let's take a peek at our standings, brought to you by Hopkins Eye Center. Ross, currently both these teams sitting in playoff spots, but at this point in time, it's all a battle for seeding.
Yeah, North Carolina a win tonight will keep them in that all-important top spot, which will get them that bye and then the home field throughout. Greenville, meanwhile, a win tonight move them ahead of that playoff line. Knoxville, they have a game in hand on Knoxville, who are just only 2 points behind them at the moment.
Greenville Triumph going up against a high-powered North Carolina FC offense today, which means Jared Mazzola is going to be a busy man. They're trying to get back on the clean sheet category, John Hart's side, and some of that responsibility is going to fall on Mazzola.
For sure, the athletic rookie out of Quinnipiac. He's missed just one start this season, comes into tonight second in League One saves. And many of those saves lately, Mark, have been massive ones, and they've been needed for Greenville's offense, not exactly firing on all cylinders at the moment. And listen, that firepower NCFC possesses up top, as you said, Mark, he might be relied upon tonight.
And talking about that firepower, a diverse arsenal of attackers, including two double-digit goal scorers in Olex Anderson and Rafa Mensingen.
Anderson, he only scored 5 times in 20 games over 2 seasons in Richmond, but he's really thrived since making that jump to NCFC with 20 goals in 53 games. His pace and technical ability make him a constant threat in the final third. And when it's not him, it's usually Rafa, the Brazilian. Had a rare sub-appearance last game. He scored 6 in his first 7 starts this season in Greenville. I need to keep a close eye on both of these two tonight.
Well, North Carolina FC looking for a turkey of victories and a series sweep over the Greenville Triumph. Meanwhile, John Hart's side is looking to get 3 points and kickstart a run at the end of the regular season. It's the Triumph and North Carolina FC after this break.
We started thinking about new locations where we need to be. And Spartanburg just made sense because we already had all the connections from 25 years ago, and still currently. I mean, we do a lot of business out of Spartanburg. But we really, really like to pour into our loan officers and to our operations staff. But, I'd love for it to be, another one of our main branches.
At Piedmont Natural Gas, being a part of the communities we serve is important to us, because to us, community begins with you. We strive to address the needs of our communities by investing time and resources to help improve the quality of life for our customers. For over 60 years, we have funded programs that support education, the environment, and community impact. Our Energy Assistance Program, Share the Warmth, helps customers pay their energy bills. We're committed to helping our neighbors by powering the vitality of our communities.
This USL League One broadcast is presented by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, proud partner of the Greenville Triumph. Back here at Paladin Stadium as the opening procession takes place. It's the Triumph and North Carolina SC here on ESPN Plus. Our head official for today, John Rush, as he walks out the Greenville Triumph, donning the green and the road white and blue for North Carolina FC. Third matchup of the season between the Triumph and North Carolina FC. The first meeting was here at Paladin Stadium early in the year, and then they met up a couple weeks ago over at WakeMed Soccer Park. Ross, it's a series, though, that so far has been all North Carolina.
Yeah, that first one we had that lucky penalty that just bounced off Luis Perez, and then Luis Perez has scored in both of these meetings. Daniel Wu scored his first pro goal against NCFC earlier this season, but we're going to see tons of goals tonight, Mark. We're going to see another 2-1 repeat. We'll have to see. There's been tons of goals going in lately.
As we take a peek at the lineups looking to score those goals, brought to you by Spartanburg Regional Healthcare System, a 3-5-2 or a 3-1-4-2, depending on how you want to look at it from John Harkes' side.
Yeah, 2 changes for John Harkes. Jacob Labovitz gets his 10th start of the season. Tevin Shore, his 11th. Lucas Coutinho sits for the first time in 5 games, as does Nate Schultz.
Then on the North Carolina FC side of things, pretty standard lineup for John Bradford.
Yeah, Rafa Menskin came off the bench last game. He's back in the lineup tonight, along with Christian Liu Young, Outgo, Arriaga, and Benton.
Once again, these lineups brought to you by Spartanburg Regional Healthcare System. You mentioned, will this be a low-scoring game, and then said 2-1, which just goes to show you how many goals have been scored recently in USL League One. Do we have in store this evening? It's the third and final matchup of the regular season between North Carolina FC and the Greenville Triumph, and potentially their last ever meeting in USL League One, with North Carolina FC going up to the championship next season, though both teams sitting in a playoff spot right now, so we could see this game happening again in October.
Yeah, both teams could certainly use the 3 points tonight for very different reasons. We might get to it later, but North Carolina can actually clinch a postseason spot tonight with a win and help elsewhere. Greenville, meanwhile, trying to keep their head above water, above that playoff line. Knoxville have caught fire a little bit lately. It made things interesting. Greenville do have a game in hand on them. See also how key that late Jamie Smith goal was last Friday. Grabbed that point on the road against Lexington. Just haven't been scoring goals. 5 goals in the last 5 games. I was pulling up current playoff team stats in that regard, Mark. Omaha with 14 in the last 5 games, Greenville with 5. Everybody else also in double digits except for Madison in the last 5 games. John Harkes, he admitted to us this week that trouble in the final third. They just haven't been clinical enough when they do get those chances.
They've been good in the goals against category. They lead the league in just 31 conceded goals. He thinks they should be in the 40s range as far as goals scored this season. They're at 37, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. He said they just haven't been sharp enough on that end of the ball.
They got to a good start this season, and even when they were banged up, they were scoring goals. Just things have dried. They've had a couple of dry spells this year. They might need to score more than 1 tonight, Mark, if they're going to get those 3 points against this North Carolina team that can score from anywhere. That front two at McLaughlin, Anderson, Rafa up there as well.
Yeah, it's very much a pick your poison in that regard. Highlighting Mensingen and Olex Anderson in the open, and then you've got guys like Luis Perez and Garrett McLaughlin, who are also incredibly formidable as goal scorers and providers. As this long ball sails into the hands of Brooks Thompson, the 21-year-old goalkeeper.
4th goalkeeper used this season by North Carolina. Obviously, Nick Holliday, the youngster, started the season as the starter. Had a couple of strange performances and then been out injured for quite a while now.
I joked with John Bradford yesterday that he's upgraded in age as Labovitz just heads that one too far ahead of him. If that one was able to come down to his chest, he could have kept it closer. As I was saying, though, I joked with John Bradford that with Nick Holliday out, you upgraded in a lot of maturity and age to 21-year-old Brooks Thompson.
He's got a pretty solid resume, though. Spent some time in MLS Next Pro, coming in on loan here from Philadelphia Union 2.
He'll send this one down the middle of the pitch, but it's popped right back forward for Greenville. Labovitz will track it down. Labovitz serves this cross in, looking for Castro. Still in the fray. And now recovered by North Carolina, Luis Perez. Plays it back, and Nelson Flores Blanco will knock it up the pitch.
Yeah, cross in was well defended by Garcia. Had goal side of Castro. Something you've got to be very careful of. Castro is such a threat in the air, especially from set pieces.
Smith was looking to play that one to Shaw. And Fricky making the necessary slide there to keep a counterattack from being sprung for North Carolina. Now Boyce wins the deflection. He'll be out for a Greenville throw. Tight week for North Carolina FC coming into this game. A 4-3 loss against Union Omaha on Wednesday on the road. So this road trip continues here to Paladin Stadium in Greenville. A game that John Bradford said they started extremely well, but then he gave up a set piece and they scored directly off of it. Basically their first chance of the game, and then after that you make two critical mistakes, and that makes a tough place to play even tougher when you're not doing yourself favors. And a team that's been sitting at the top of the table for a good portion of this season, including currently 3-2 in the last 5.
I think for North Carolina, everybody loves that pitch there. They could get home field.
Oh yeah.
Teams, you wouldn't have to go to Omaha for the entire playoffs, which I'm sure nobody wants to do. At least North Carolina has that nice big pitch there in Cary. We don't know how much home field is important in League One. Several teams really struggle on the road. Greenville have been pretty consistent, 4 wins on the road, 4 wins away, as well as North Carolina split their road wins and home wins as well. They're very impressive on the road, 7 each.
You want to talk about League One finals? The winner of every League One final has been the home team. Now, granted, last year Tormenta didn't get a bye, was not one of the top seeded teams, but were able to host another Cinderella run of the Chattanooga Red Wolves in that final. But the fact still stands that hosting games in the playoffs is very beneficial, especially for that almost important game.
You've also got to have the prospect of traveling to Omaha or Northern Colorado in October.
Yeah.
Which has the potential not to be pretty weather-wise. I remember being in Omaha 2 years ago and how cold that was. Whoops.
This one nearly gets by Thompson.
Well, Thompson had a clumsy moment last week.
Yeah.
When he let one go by him, it went wide. Luckily, that one could have ended up in the back of the net. Just a little too much pace on it, and it wasn't Thompson's fault that time. He actually made a good save in the end with his legs.
He has to lunge into that one.
It's almost one of those ones where you have to be careful as a keeper. Instinctively, you want to go down and try and save it. If he'd done that, it would have been a free kick inside the box.
Positive start for Greenville in this one, 7 minutes in.
Yeah, talked to John Harkes about the slow start last week. The first
Yeah.
half was just awful, no shots on goal. Got things sorted out in the second half, but this is a positive start here for the home team.
A well-taken goal from Tate Robertson opened things up in that game, and that seemed to wake Greenville up in that match. It was a goal that John Harkes said positionally they didn't defend right, but he fought back and was happy for Jamie Smith to get his first pro goal. This one gets lofted in, falls to Gavilanes, doesn't have the angle for it. This one chipped back into danger. And Labovitz lets it go. Suffered a deflection, so it will be our first PNC corners for kids.
It was good work by Gavilanes. He could have snatched at that ball out of the air, but instead decided to bring it down and lay it off. He's improved every season, Alan Gavilanes. We all saw his raw talent when he came in here, but really put so much more into his game now.
And he'll be the one to take this corner kick. Service is headed away emphatically. Walker gets a touch on it, but it's too heavy a touch. And then the clearance, just a bit of an eject button there for North Carolina FC. Greenville with their foot on the gas right now. Here's Boyce, and he's offside.
Yeah, just mistimed his run a little bit there. Long ball by Avon Lee.
Now we get a look at John Bradford trying to clinch today. Get 3 points here and get some help elsewhere, as you see. A Knoxville loss and anything but a Tormenta victory will lock up a spot in the playoffs. Of course, I think they're fairly confident they're going to make it one way or another by the time the season ends. They're thinking about that #1 spot. Crazy to think, though, with still a little over a month left to go in the season, that North Carolina FC will be able to lock up a spot. If you looked at the standings before the game, every team is at 25 or 26 games played. This is about as level as it's been in that regard all season long. Of course, you get the early season shenanigans with the different scheduling loops and hoops you got to jump through. And now it's all finally come back around. Also, a couple of games getting postponed due to weather over the summer and in the spring. Now we really get a clean picture of the situation as Mensingen tees this one inside. He had a man open, and it's a point to the penalty spot. It'll be a third penalty for North Carolina FC here at Paladin Stadium this season. Garrett McLaughlin getting pushed down.
That's just silly from Castro. He didn't even look at the ref. He put a forearm in the back of Garrett McLaughlin, and if the referee's looking in the right spot, that's going to be a penalty 9 times out of 10. Just got beaten goal side. So Castro is a striker. He shouldn't really be not defending that crucial of a situation, but if he's going to defend, he's got to do it properly. As a result, they could find themselves down 1-0.
After the run of play has favored the Triumph in the first 10 minutes, Rafa Mensingen looking to tack on his 11th goal of the season. A similar situation he found himself in last time these two teams met here. One-on-one with Mazzola. Mensingen finishes. And the top of the table are on top of Greenville early.
Completely against the run of play. You have to say Greenville had the much better of these first 11 minutes, but just a moment of madness from Leo Castro. Garrett McLaughlin may have gone down a little easier, but if the referee's looking at you, you stick that elbow on the forearm into the back of a player who's already going that way. There's another look at it again. I mean, plus the ball was right there. McLaughlin was right about to head it, and Castro sort of helped him on his way. Silly stuff from the Colombian.
Rafa Mensingen, the Brazilian. 11 goals this season now for him, which just puts him 2 goals behind his teammate Olex Anderson. When they met at Paladin Stadium earlier in the season, it was Rafa Mensingen leading the way in League One in goal scoring. He slowed down a little bit, but I mean, an 11-goal season is still pretty impressive. Scored on Wednesday when they were down 4-1 at that point in time. He scored that record-breaking 453rd goal in League One this season, which made it the highest scoring season in league history, and we still got another month.
Yeah, we asked John Harkstein, you asked him about why you think there's so many goals going in this year. I think he said it was a combination of many things. There's so much offensive talent coming into the league now.
Offensive talent, the heat of the summer doesn't help the defender. So a lot of guys are playing creatively right now across the league. They followed up with saying, honestly, though, we'd love to see some more clean sheets on our end and slow some things down. And I mean, you look at the history of the Greenville Triumph, the 1-0 victory, of course, written all over the club's brief history. That has not been the case this season, but in the defense of Greenville, it hasn't really been the case for anybody. Just such a high-octane year. Gavilanes to Castro, but it's in the hands of Thompson. Select the official match ball supplier of the USL League One and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit www.us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. And this is a giveaway from Mazzola. Anderson shoots, but he skies it.
Both keepers having some, I'm going to call them interesting moments here in the first half. Not 100% their fault. This one, it's a hard back pass and then a heavy touch from Mazzola. Olex Anderson, well, we want in that one back. He just snatched it a little bit. Should have been goal number 14 with an empty net.
Yeah, it's not the first moment in this game Mazzola has had to avoid some danger. Did it really early on in the match. Here's Boyce. Look to thread that one forward. Shaw is able to dish it to Pilato. Although Greenville dictated the pace of this game so far, it's not looking like a lack of freshness right now from North Carolina. Had to stop twice in both halves against Omaha for air quality. I asked John Bradford about that and if any of his guys were feeling it, and he said, well, actually, he was a bit surprised that it was a necessary factor in that game. And really the only effect it had was the fact that it kept breaking up the game and applying all these stoppages. And he could complain about it, but he said, but both teams have to deal with it, so at the end of the day, it is what it is.
You know, talk to some South American teams about air quality. Some of those smog-filled cities in Buenos Aires, Montevideo.
Of course, we've seen games across pro sports this season be affected by air quality in maybe more drastic regards. Mensingen inside to the top to Cervania. And then that one slips through his clutches, but then has to be blasted away by Walker, or else it was going to fall right back to the feet of Jaden Cervania. Castro takes a tug. Tries to serve it up, but it's deflected by Fernandez.
This game's been wide open here the last 5 minutes, Mark. Tons of space out there.
Castro's ball dips in and ends up sailing harmlessly over top, but it came pretty close.
I think Thompson realized he was a little too close to his front post, perhaps. Initially, I think he had it covered safely in the end, but made it look a little more dramatic.
Tough stretch here for North Carolina FC. John Bradford said the schedule's the schedule. A tough trip to Omaha, another tough trip to Greenville. They know this match against John Hark's side will be difficult. It always is. Ultimately, though, for North Carolina FC, you want to be in these meaningful games. What they put themselves in this season. Castro to Walker. Walker will take the shoot from distance, and
well, Greenville don't have an easy final stretch either. For their final 6 games on the road, the only long trip will be to Fuego, and that's on a Wednesday night, though. That can really mess your entire week up when you got to go to the West Coast on a Wednesday and then come back play Chattanooga on the Saturday for the penultimate match of the season before hosting Lexington to close things out at Knoxville. Depending on what the result of this game and that Knoxville game is tonight, that one next week is a big one.
Yeah, big game between Madison and Knoxville today. Basically, the only aggressors left as far as the playoff push is concerned. No one's mathematically eliminated yet, but you'll see at halftime. We'll go through some of the playoff odds. The fact of the matter is Knoxville are really the only team with a shooter's chance outside of the teams that are already sitting in playoff spots. Which is why the intrigue for the final stretch of the season may be less about who and more about where the USL League One playoffs will be taking place.
Looked like Tormenta were on a little run for a while, and then they kind of hit the skids. Knoxville have come on strong.
This one headed on to Labovitz, but ends up spilling through to Thompson.
Wins over Madison, Lexington, Tormenta, beating the teams around them. It's helped them get right back into the playoff picture, as you mentioned. Greenville will certainly be hoping that Knoxville-Madison game tonight ends in a draw. I think a Madison win would be the end of the world. Madison with that nice addition of Ozzy Ramos. We'll get to that at halftime.
Opportunity here for North Carolina. Anderson plays it in the middle. McLaughlin out wide to Mensingen. Rafa taking on Smith. Rafa shoots, and it's into the hands of Jaron Mazzola.
Yeah, Rafa active on this left side as always. Take a look at John Hark's and your live standings as we head here in with 1-0 lead for NCFC Greenville. Just that 2-point lead over Knoxville with that game in hand, though, which they will get back again tonight when Knoxville plays.
John Harkes calling this North Carolina team a side we know what to expect from them. We'll expect the same, a young, enthusiastic team that time their transition moments really well. He thinks an opportunity to do some damage to them will also be in the transition game. Shaw, not sure if his intended target was Mazzola, but he'll be the one on the end of it.
These NCFC kits look a little like Argentina from a distance, Mark.
They do.
So I'm wondering how Rafa feels about that.
Speaking of Argentina, shout out to England earlier today in rugby.
That was a big win. England soccer with a 1-1 draw against Ukraine. Obviously Argentina started World Cup qualifying the other night. They'll continue that in midweek against Bolivia on the road, and I think one of the highest stadiums in the world up in La Paz. Never an easy one, even for the likes of Argentina and Brazil, no matter how poor Bolivia usually are. Still a very, very tough place to play.
Castro's ball comes in. Labovic tried to flick it on and ended up going out for a goal kick.
Castro finding himself out wide. I think Labovic was just trying to get it into the path of Gavilanes. This Labovic-Castro combo being tried again by John Harkes. He's gone away from it a little bit more of late. Trying to find a combo up top that's really going to work and provide goals. I'm sure we'll see Liam McKinnon later, as well as Lucas Coutinho.
Two guys who have at different points this season provided sparks offensively. 20 minutes into this one, a game that Greenville probably had the better show of chances, but a penalty on Leo Castro, who is also being called for the foul here, was awarded, and Rafa Mensingen knows how to do away with opportunities from the penalty spot. You're watching on ESPN Plus. Mark Schoenster and Ross Davenport here with you as always. Shout out our excellent producer, Brady Kujawa. I like to say when I do games with him that it's Marky Mark and the Brady Bunch broadcast.
You two even alive when that record came out?
I don't know the year it came out, and I will not answer that question. Anderson plays it across the middle, and North Carolina FC have got a second. Olex Anderson to Garrett McLaughlin and Jaden Cervania all around. And it actually may have been Cervania in the end who tapped it home. The combinations that this team poses. And it is Cervania. All he needs to do is stand in place. Anderson will just ricochet it off his shins.
Yeah, that's a one-on-one matchup that Olex Anderson's going to win every time against Adam Smith, and Brandon Fricky couldn't get a foot on it. Lovely ball in to Cervania. Yeah, I think it just hit it, Mark, and went in. That's all it had to do. Greenville with some serious work to do here.
Sometimes the talent of the strikers is just being in the right place. That's the case for Jaden Cervania. His third goal of the season, Olex Anderson with his 6th assist.
This is when that 3 at the back can hurt you a little bit, Mark, when you get those isolations like that. Normally you'd have 2 defenders there. Only 1 that time. And Olex Anderson took full advantage with the step overs, and then the low hard ball into an unmarked Jaden Cervania.
It's so difficult to handle Olex Anderson, and Devin Boyce now moving the other way. Looking to connect with Labovic. Nothing to come of it. And you mentioned the uptick in goal-scoring production from Olex Anderson earlier on. One thing we've always known about him is that he is capable of taking a player on one-on-one. He demonstrated that in Richmond. He was sort of a spark plug off the bench for them when he played for the Kickers. And then since coming to North Carolina, he's been able to output that sort of playmaking ability one-on-one at a higher frequency.
I mean, this is a guy with 15 MLS appearances, right? We've seen some guys come through League One with MLS appearances, but when they come to League One, they're normally older, say early 30s. Alex Anderson's only 27. He's obviously dealt with some injuries that perhaps ended his MLS career, but this is a guy that can still be a class above at times, and we saw it there on that goal. Such a handful.
And that's an interesting thing, too, about this season for North Carolina. Mentioned earlier that they're going to the USL Championship next season. And it makes you wonder, as Gavilanes looked to find one of his teammates inside, that this season is, in essence, a special audition to stick around with the team next year in the USL Championship. Guys like Alex Anderson who can display their craft and show that maybe they've got the ability to take it to that next level. It's going to be oh so important.
Well, I think I mentioned it in the previous game, Mark. I'm not sure when North Carolina got the confirmation that they were going to go to USL Championship. They obviously didn't announce it until a lot later, but we were wondering, you know, the amount of quality talent they were bringing in this offseason, especially coming off the Wooden Spoons seasons. And you had to wonder what was going on, and then it all kind of made sense when that championship announcement came in. That's a huge advantage in recruiting, in that, hey, shush, we're going to go up to the USL Championship next season. Your wages will go up, right? As I'm sure for most of them, you get a chance to, chance to be on national TV a little more. I'm sure it was a big advantage during this offseason for John Bradford.
Yeah, and get acclimated as a team together for one season, and then you make the move up the challenge a little bit. Of course, we've seen that the quality of League One in many matchups can match that of championship sides. Of course, there are certain outliers in USL Championship that are just that cut above. Anderson plays it out wide. That's McLaughlin. Louis Perez is slow to get up, but he's on his 2 feet. Shaw. Play it back to one Brandon Fricky. Walker. So in a game that Greenville had the advantage early on, suddenly find themselves down 2-0, a penalty, and then North Carolina FC. All it takes is a moment for them. Alex Anderson taking a player one-on-one. There's Jamie Smith who's trying to slow him down. Not many players in USL League One, though, who are capable in the open space of keeping Alex Anderson down. I mean, look, 13 goals, 6 assists this season. The numbers speak for itself as we get another corner kick here for Greenville, another PNC Corners for Kids.
I'm sure John Bradford works on those one-on-one. Like those Alex Anderson and Rafa Minskin are probably two of the toughest one-on-one.
That shot from Devin Boyce didn't make it to the keeper.
Two of the toughest one-on-one marking jobs in League One, right?
We're going to whistle here on Tevin Shaw, who's trying to keep the ball in play, and it looks like kneecaps may have clacked into each other. Which means it'll be a goal kick, and Brooks Thompson will get things going again. Here's a look at the foul called by our official. He doesn't get any ball there.
Yeah, Garcia was just trying to shepherd it out. Did a good job of using his body.
Bit of a grimace on the face of Tevin Shaw. But we're back in play here. I asked about Brooks Thompson. This is his 9th start with North Carolina. You mentioned earlier Nick Holiday not able to play at this moment. I asked how long it took for Thompson to get acclimated with these guys, and John Bradford said it didn't take very long at all. Worth mentioning that he does come in with some USL Championship experience, along with coming from Philadelphia Union 2, which is where he still belongs technically on loan.
I'm sure no coach wants to use 4 goalkeepers. Remember Charlotte last year with all of their goalkeeping troubles. They seem to have found their guy now in Thompson. Certainly going to need a solid number 1 with this playoff run coming up.
Speaking of that carousel of Charlotte Independence keepers last year, Adrian Zendejas doing really well with Miami now.
Yes.
Boot came off. Rafa Mensing in. Get it back on his feet. It's never harder to tie your shoe than when everyone's waiting on you to do it.
The pressure is on.
Very fine motor skill, and if you're running on the adrenaline of sprinting up and down the field, and then suddenly everything stops and we're just waiting on you to get the game going again.
You see some of those shoes now, that some of those boots are like slippers. You don't even need laces, just slip your foot in. I don't see too many of them in League One.
Don't miss a minute of the action in 2023, whether your club is on the road or at home. Catch nearly every second of USL League One action on ESPN+. The home to the USL, La Liga, the Bundesliga, UFC, and more. Sign up today at plus.espn.com. We welcome you in right now on ESPN+. 30 minutes in, North Carolina FC well on their way at this moment of a 3-game victory. 3-series victory, excuse me, over the Greenville Triumph, trying to get the full-on sweep this season. Pilato. Logan is sent forward for Castro, not on the same page there.
John Harkes mentioned during the week that he thought North Carolina were a little susceptible to the transition, and that was a chance there, but the final ball tonight for Greenville just hasn't been good enough so far in these first 31 minutes. No shots in the first half. Last game's no shots on target, I should say. No shots on target yet tonight. Jamie Smith, no nonsense when it comes to those aerial duels. Built like a rugby player.
Scored that late goal on the road against Lexington. Nearly had a goal last time Greenville played here. Had the header off the crossbar. That was tapped in by Jacob Labovitz. Well, it wasn't last game, but it was a game recently. This one stepped on quickly. Garcia driving. Plays it over to the right-hand side. And then that one cleared away by Evan Lee. Playing over on that left-hand side. Played a bit of left back last week against Lexington. Asked John Harkes about his assessment of the performance, and he said, Lee was good. Lee's always good, and I wish we had 2-3 Evan Lees on this team.
One of those guys that John Harkes brought with him from FC Cincinnati.
You know, we've seen Evan Lee play center back. We, this season, have seen him play in more of a holding midfield spot. Playing left center back right now, and has played left back for Lexington. Cervania, the second goal scorer, getting checked up on by the training crew.
Ricky Rivera, former Omaha man, with a goal for Puerto Rico tonight. Great to see all these USL League One international players, both current and former.
Jaden Cervania getting call-ups for Puerto Rico himself. One of 4 players getting that recognition for North Carolina FC. Olex Anderson for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Raheem Summersaw for St. Kitts and Nevis. And then Nelson Flores Blanco for El Salvador.
Billy Forbes with a penalty today for Turks and Caicos. Fuego man. Good for him. Nations League getting some international exposure for USL League One.
Forbes always a juggernaut for Turks and Caicos. A lot of goals for his country. Servania back up on his feet, which is always good news. The man from Birmingham, Alabama. Scored his 3rd goal today. Has 3 goals, 3 assists. Just 22 years old, the talented number 10. And boy, does he have a lot of fun teammates to play around offensively. And this comes back to that diverse attacking roster that this North Carolina team has. Just a collection of players who all pose different threats. From Olex Anderson to Garrett McLaughlin to Louis Perez, Rafa Mensingen, Servania can be added to that list. Just so many potent goal scorers and chance creators.
And whenever they put that roster together this offseason, I think many people opened some eyes and we said, hey, this team should be good.
Yeah.
Right? That's not always a recipe for being good once the season starts, but North Carolina lived up to all expectations so far in 2023. A couple of bumps along the way here, but sitting in first place right now is another poor giveaway by Greenville. John Harkes is not going to have a fun halftime chat here, I don't think. Oh, going to break there, and Alex Anderson in some pain.
Colliding with Olex Anderson and Jamie Smith.
That's why you wear the big shin guards, people. These guys wear these tiny shin guards these days. There's the times when you wishing you had a little more protection in there. Let's take another look at this one.
Now it looked like Olex Anderson may have gotten his boot on top of Jamie Smith's foot.
That was a weird one. Wasn't much of a collision. As you see it when they're players coming in opposite directions, that kind of shin collision. But that was a strange one. Anderson back on his feet. I think it was a little harsh as well. I thought Jamie Smith made the initial contact from behind. Not sure what referee John Rush saw, but he's not going to change his mind now. Will be a free kick for the home team, looking to find a spark here. 9 minutes plus left in this first half.
Castro plays it across the center. And once they've gotten into this final third, Greenville has struggled to connect passes together. They may get another chance to do so here. Blotto, though, had to quickly dish that one back. Garrett McLaughlin was coming. Now Smith takes a push from Anderson.
Yeah, these two are going at it.
And a yellow card given to Olex Anderson, his 4th of the season. Just got a warning moments ago and then pushes Jamie Smith there. You would expect a booking in a moment like that.
I think a bit of frustration from that previous foul leaking in. Yeah, that's an obvious as professional foul as you're going to get. You didn't need to do it yet. Two players right there. Good job by Mikey Maldonado to calm things down there. Olex will have to be careful here the rest of the way.
So Jamie Smith being waved off the pitch. Usually that's because there's blood involved. And there it is.
Jamie Smith in the wars again. At least it's not his face this time.
Yeah.
This one looks just got a minor flesh wound.
So he'll get cleaned up. May come out with a different jersey. Don't know if it made any contact with his jersey. As this service gets headed back across centrally, then cleared away. And now Olex Anderson turning on the burners. Mazzola wise there. Came off his line, well off his line to provide clearance. You know how dangerous Anderson can be in those one-on-one moments. He's already demonstrated it today. And now here he's in the corner, winning a corner kick for his side.
Yeah, Greenville going with a double team there, not messing around. No goals in the other game so far tonight between Charlotte and Chattanooga. That one started at the same time as this one. Chattanooga with 12 shots to 2 in that first half mark. Only 2 of them on target, though. Austin Pack only adding to his league-leading save total by 2 so far.
Menchingen with the service. It's caught by Mazzola.
Chattanooga also hit the post. Keep an eye on that one for you. Obviously important for North Carolina. That one's Charlotte, not far behind them.
Chattanooga recently been living up to the ferocity of their name. Just haven't been able to find the results, but if they don't give you a fight, then that's an off day for them.
I guess that game does matter to Greenville too, Charlotte. Only 4 points ahead of Greenville at the moment with that point for that draw. Charlotte are 9 points behind North Carolina. I thought we were a little closer.
Fricky sends this one up. Knocked away by Fernandez. This one kept in play nicely by Gavilanes. It looked like it was going to go out, but sliding and swinging in was Alan Gavilanes in that moment. Smith, rolling ball up the pitch. Castro to Boyce. This segment of the match brought to you by ScanSource, accelerating growth for partners and calling Greenville home for 30 years. Gavilanes teased this one forward, but to no one in particular. North Carolina in a good spot right now. When we chatted with John Bradford yesterday, they were out bowling in Greenville. Said he bowls around a 150 usually, which is better than me. Better than me, that's for certain.
Good. It was a good team building exercise.
Yeah, good chances to sit around, socialize, but have a thing to focus on and enjoy it.
I'm sure all these guys are pretty competitive, even with bowling.
It's a chance for the coaches to show up the players. Obviously, there's such a collection of athletes, it's going to be hard to get opportunities like that. Good touch there from Mazzola, and he gets bumped into by McLaughlin.
Took a swipe at him. That was silly from Garrett McLaughlin. Perhaps not card worthy, but certainly a bit of a warning. I feel the Greenville frustration just building a little bit as we get towards halftime here. Just unable to get anything going since the first 10 minutes was so good too, Mark. Uh-oh.
Mensingen tries to drag it through.
He was lucky. Jared Mazzola was completely going the other way. He's lucky Rafa completely scuffed that. Did he get a touch off a Greenville player?
I think it may have deflected off of Tevin Shaw, which caused the ball to escape him.
Watch. Oh yeah, Tevin Shaw just a toe in there at the last second. Otherwise Rafa may have put this game away.
Corner for North Carolina FC.
North Carolina on this corner kick. Really putting on Greenville right now. Mensingen with the service. And that one clawed out of danger by Mazzola, but it's still North Carolina. Service comes in. Anderson can't get on the end of it. Mensingen. One-on-one with Boyce. And he chases himself out of play. Mazzola will knock this one down the pitch. Tapped out for a Greenville throw.
Yeah, Greenville's last shot of any kind back in the 21st minute of this game.
Look for some sort of positivity going into the break. Good step there. Squared back on top, and Boyce can't connect with it. Anderson in traffic. Loses it to Walker. And the whistle blows.
Yeah, this play just kind of sums up Greenville's offensive play in the final third over the last few weeks. Just a complete whiff by Devin Boyce. Good ball in by Evan Lee. Good things seem to happen when Evan Lee gets forward. Obviously with that back three, you can't afford to do it too much.
Yeah, good step from Lee on that left-hand side. Zola. Play the ball forward. Labovitz. Jostling with Gustavo Fernandez, and the whistle will blow. Calling him for the foul. As we get closer and closer to 45. We'll recap the games from Wednesday at halftime for you. Look at the playoff odds for a moment, and then also welcome a new addition to the League One family. Always excited when we see a new franchise opening up. New location, new personalities. We are all about that.
Yeah, we'll see how long it takes John Harkes to make some changes. I have a feeling we might see 1 or 2 at the half. It's just been too tepid, too slow. Had 60+% possession. You see 2 minutes of added time.
Stoppage time brought to you by Engineered Sleep, the best handmade mattresses in town. Visit engineeredsleep.com for better sleep.
Obviously, have to give North Carolina credit for really limiting Greenville's chances here in this first half, especially after those first 10 minutes where Greenville looked, well, they knew what they were doing in that final third. There's a chance here, perhaps.
Maldonado doing well there to head it out of the center of the pitch. Greenville trying to find something to hang their hat on before the whistle. Of course, a goal would be ideal, but just something to show some promise. It's been a hot minute.
The XG so far in this first half, 0.1 for Greenville.
Lee floats this one up. May have been too far ahead, and it is. We're going to connect with Jamie Smith.
It's a little disjointed, Mark. It almost looks like a team that hasn't been playing together much. They're not on the same page. When they are on the same page, the passes haven't been good enough. So we saw them turning around last weekend in the second half. They got a 2-goal deficit here, though, against a team that can put another two goals on you real quick if you're not careful.
Yeah, I mean, this is the top of the table we're talking about here. Anderson takes some contact, and now the whistle will blow. Free kick for North Carolina, maybe the closing moments of the half. Are we gonna roll out or just toss away? Okay. John Rush spraying out the lines necessary. North Carolina trying to put an emphatic cap on this first 45 minutes of action. Bensingen plays it right. And the whistle is going to blow right then and there.
But you can see why the North Carolina players are upset. If you're going to let us take the free kick, don't blow the whistle after we take it. If it was backwards, I could understand it.
Yeah, I mean, it was about 1:45 in when the whistle was blown for the free kick. That's a pretty stunning decision. But with that in mind, the half has concluded. 2-0 your scoreline. North Carolina leads. We'll step aside briefly for this break.
This is no sleepy-headed, moving in reverse kind of state. We're home to barrier-breaking humans who took $7 billion and invested it in microchips, potato chips, nope, education. This investment, it builds jobs and more jobs where people create things like flying, not that. Who does all this? Forward-thinking pilgrims of change, like you. South Carolina. Now that's smart.
You know, I'm just feeling a lot of pressure. There's big shoes to fill.
It's your time now, Tommy. I know you'll keep it special like your dad did.
If we can keep this business growing, I think that's the best way to honor him.
Well, I was there for him, and I'll be there for you.
About this new location,
He would have loved it, Tommy. Let's find a way.
We offer a full array of dental treatment, and what that provides you as a patient is you're able to come to one place and get comprehensive care under one roof.
I've always been greeted with a smile. They know me when I call. I trust them.
We'd love to see you at Wood Creek Dental. Visit us at woodcreekdental.com.
Welcome back to halftime here between North Carolina FC and the Greenville Triumph. We're in week 26, but the week got started earlier this week. Let's jump right into the highlights before talking about the playoffs. Two interesting matchups to start off week 26 on Wednesday, starting at Werner Park. Union Omaha against North Carolina FC. Marco Milanese serves up a tasty ball for Pedro Dolabella to rock home, soloing his goal tally to 4 on the year. But just 2 minutes later, Nelson Flores Blanco picks out Golix Anderson, who will actually be the assister here for Garrett McLaughlin, who demonstrates patience and poise as he chips it over Ian McGrain to level things up. This was in the 9th and the 11th minute to open up the game, so what was promising to be a great matchup delivered early on in this affair. Then, right before halftime, Steven Dos Santos gives a crafty ball to Dion Akoff, who nods it forward, holds for a couple moments, then releases to Joe Brito, who celebrates before it even crosses the goal line. A tap-in finish for him. Union Omaha leading 2-1 going into the halftime break. Then in the second half, one of two critical errors for North Carolina is properly and clinically taken advantage of by the red-hot Owls. Dos Santos this time on the goal scoring end of things. The vet now has 7 on the season, while the Owls are looking for a record-breaking 7 straight wins. Then another critical error, the second one for North Carolina. The Owls begin combining, and on the end of this string of passes, back like he never left, Noe Mesa score his 10th on the season in his return game from injury. Now everything is going right for the Owls right now in their pursuit of history, but before this one concludes, we have some other history to make. Don't let Rafa cut inside with space like this. It's a fool's errand. He scores the 453rd goal of the season, which makes it the highest scoring year in league history with still a whole month to go. Then in added time, the top of the table won't go down quietly. Preston Pop taps this one in, but it's going to be too little, too late. 4-3 Union Omaha, and Dom Casciato claim 3 points, a League One record, and temporarily sit in second place. And what I mean by temporary is, well, about an hour. North Colorado looking for payback against Lexington after the thriller that was their last meeting between these two. And look at Marky Hernandez putting that one in on the service from Billy King. And then in the 43rd minute, you know the drill. It's Arthur Rogers territory, but this time he doesn't get the assist. He actually gets his first goal of the season straight from the dead ball spot, making it 2-0 in favor of the Hailstorm. And then Marky Hernandez already has a goal. Now he wants to an assist. And this ball just keeps trickling and trickling along until it finds Noah Powder, who blasts it home. But as this Hailstorm team knows, the boys from the Bluegrass State never fold. Hila Dlamini is able to approach, and he errands the deflection, just gets by the keeper to make it 3-1. Then in the 87th minute, Owen Green finds Khalid Balagoon, who finds a cleat inside the 18, drawing the penalty, and you already know Don Smart is going to step up and put it into the back of the net. 3-2, your final score line, much like North Carolina. The comeback falls short, and the Hailstorm reclaim second place in the league over Omaha on goal differential. Now let's channel my inner Steve Kornacki here. Let's look at the playoff odds for the top 6 teams in USL League One will be the ones who advance on to the playoffs. One Knoxville, really the only aggressors. I think the more interesting conversation will be, where do those top 6 teams seed themselves by the end of the regular season, especially those top 3, Omaha, the Hailstorm, North Carolina FC, all vying for number 1, vying for those top 2 spots to get buys. It's going to be pivotal at the end of the season, could be the difference between a champion and getting eliminated on the road. We're going to step aside now for a quick break. Now this from the USL.
Goes topics. I mean, yeah, let's talk about
Stop
today.
it.
Today we're gonna go
Yo.
topics.
Roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to Sirius XM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on Sirius XM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, really wanna know.
And welcome to USL League One Portland. Excited to have you. A couple of other big talking points. Ozzy Ramos, a huge acquisition for Forward Madison in their playoff push. And Noah Powder with a great goal. You just saw the highlight clip of that on the other side of the break. as we take a peek at the scores. As of right now, you saw the highlights from the midweek. Scoreless in the other game between Charlotte and Chattanooga as we pivot over to the games to come in USL League One. Big one between Madison and Knoxville tonight. We also have 2 games tomorrow, some Sunday football for you, if you will. Hailstorm and Tormenta, big one. Central Valley Fuego will also be taking on Lexington in the nightcap. We'll step aside briefly. When we come back, we'll have the highlights and stats in the second half of kickoff for you on ESPN+.
We started thinking about the new locations where we need to be. And Spartanburg just made sense because we already had all the connections from 25 years ago, and still currently. I mean, we do a lot of business out of Spartanburg. But we really, really like to pour into our loan officers and to our operations staff. But, I'd love for it to be, another one of our main branches.
It's not about building a home in just 30 hours for a deserving family with Habitat for Humanity, or about building homes for a national television competition. It's about building memorable experiences with our community, team members, and trade partners that will last for a lifetime. Hunter Quinn Homes, building the difference.
We offer a full array of dental treatment, and what that provides you as a patient is you're able to come to one place and get comprehensive care under one roof.
I've always been greeted with a smile. They know me when I call. I trust them.
We'd love to see you at Wood Creek Dental. Visit us at woodcreekdental.com.
Fifth Third Bank. Yeah, it's a quirky name. But here's the thing, 5/3 equals 166.7%. So we put 166.7% into everything we do. Like automatically getting you your paycheck up to 2 days early, giving you well-deserved extra time to avoid overdraft fees, and helping you borrow from your future self. This is banking a Fifth Third better.
Tonight's USL League One broadcast is presented by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, proud partner of the Greenville Triumph. Here are the highlights from the first half of action. Greenville against North Carolina FC. 10th minute, a penalty would be drawn by Garrett McLaughlin. Leonardo Castro with the push, which means Rafa Mensingen puts this one away nicely, just unwarranted from Castro.
Yeah, McLaughlin got the other side of it. It was a good ball in by Minskin. It certainly would have been a potential goal-scoring chance if Castro hadn't pushed him, but hey, you never know.
Meanwhile, about 14 minutes later, Olex Anderson, one-on-one with Jamie Smith. He breaks out the scissors, and then he cuts Greenville apart with that pass. Just deflects it off the shids of Jaden Cervania, making it 2-0 in this one. North Carolina FC looking for the series sweep as we see the halftime stats brought to you by Warehouse Services Incorporated. 61% possession for Greenville, but they don't have any shots on target, and the shots they have had have not been particularly dangerous.
Great first positive 10 minutes. The penalty just seemed to deflate their balloon a little bit for Greenville. Listen, a good chat with John Harkes here. We'll see what he can do in this second half. Make some early changes perhaps and try to get this offense going.
Well, the issue with that is that this North Carolina offense is more than capable of tacking on some more goals, especially when you start committing more bodies forward to try and find those goals to come back into the game. Guys like that man right there, Rafa Mensingen, they are just waiting for that opportunity to get the ball behind some people, make a run, odd-man situation, and just combine the way they love to combine between those several talented goal scorers. Throwing the high knees, throw hops in there as well to keep the body going before kickoff here at Paladin Stadium.
I'm doing the same thing here in the booth, Mark.
Absolutely. Got to keep the blood pumping. We're underway here between the Triumph and North Carolina in the second half of action.
Entering the match, number 99, Raheem Somersault, and number 59, Nathan Intalu. Leaving the match, number 10.
So 2 substitutions to be had in the halftime break for North Carolina FC. They're going to be different numbers than you expect from this North Carolina side. Usually, Raheem Somersault, usually wearing number 44, is donning number 99. He's in for Cervania. Meanwhile, Nathan Intalu, who has been wearing number 99, is now wearing number 59. And he comes in for Olex Anderson, the assist man on that second goal, as Boyce gets tripped up. Walker hits the brakes, goes down.
Well, somersault for Sylvania. Certainly more of a defensive change for John Bradford. He'll perhaps a little deeper, more alongside Mikey Maldonado now. No changes yet for John Harkes. Olex, we could see him getting a little frustrated in that first half, but John Bradford certainly doesn't want to risk him getting a red card.
Whistle blows here.
They're going to make him retake it, I think. See if we can get a good delivery here. Keep an eye on Jamie Smith here. Back post. Castro, always a threat as well. It's going to be an in-swinger. If it is Gavilanes to take it.
Greenville find an early deficit cutter here. Nope, goes straight into the hands of Thompson. He'll distribute it over to the right-hand side for Christian Luyoung. Now here's Perez. And he switches the point of attack, but Noah Pilato gets his head on it. Contact there, nothing called though by the officiating crew. John Rush, our head official. Boyce trying to keep this one in play, and he just stumbles over, losing his balance, relinquishing possession back to the leading visitors. I'll take a moment to congratulate Greenville. They announced this week they're starting a Special Olympics unified team. They'll be in partnership with Champion Comfort Experts and Special Olympics South Carolina. It's a team, for those unfamiliar, composed of those with and without intellectual disabilities, and they'll play other USL unified teams. They'll have tryouts, a signing day, training session, and then of course match days against other unified clubs in USL. Union Omaha and Fort Madison already having clubs of their own in that regard. Gavilanes with the cross inside, headed away.
Yeah, that is awesome news. As you mentioned, Omaha and Madison have got that going for a couple of years now. There's enough local teams. Travel's not too expensive. Great to see them getting an opportunity to show their skills.
Yeah, it's always nice when you get those paired up games. Like Omaha Madison a couple of times have had their team play before or after the pro match. So not only do you get the experience of just playing, but also you're gonna get a decent crowd watching you as well. That's pretty cool. Labovitz lofts this one in, headed straight upward. Smith across the center, it's pawed over. A twitch reaction from Brooks Thompson. Well, actually, they're going to say it was just knocked over the crossbar. Looked like he got a hand on it. Let's see it again.
I think it was Castro might have just knocked it over. Two guys getting in the way. It was Fricky.
It went off the
left that
crossbar
for Castro.
End up going off the crossbar in the end.
Another shin collision. Or is this a head? I can't tell.
Got Rafa Mensingen and Tevin Shaw. The two colliding with each other there.
This is always an awkward moment when the guy on the ground is getting the yellow and the referee already has it out. Let's take another look at it here. Shaw got there first. Not sure whether Minskin saw Shaw coming, but he's going to pick up the card. A little magic spray on the calf of Rafa Minskin.
First goal scored today, scored from the penalty spot. And there's the booking.
Not sure. Rafa, pay attention.
It's his 6th yellow card of the season.
The referee has issued a caution to North Carolina FC's number 14 in the 51st minute.
Oh, another chance here. Try and get a decent delivery in.
Had a prime opportunity moments ago. Jamie Smith with the header across the goal. Looking to connect with one of his teammates. Castro ends up heading it off the crossbar. They play it short. Now it floats in. Boyce gets onto the end of it. Lee. Cycle it around to the right-hand side. Avalonia's making that run to the outside. It won't be taken. Here's Devin Boyce once again. And he gets that one knocked out by Perez. It'll be Labovitz, the one to loft it. There's a pseudo set piece opportunity when you can get a guy who can air it up into the 18 the way that Labovitz can. He launches it. And that header will come out. Pilato with Intalu bearing down on him. The two tangle up and the whistle blows. The foul called on Nathan Intalu. So another free kick for the Greenville Triumph, and they'll quickly take it. And that will come to no avail. It's escorted out for a goal kick.
It's been another positive start to a half for Greenville. Still waiting for that first shot on target.
Trying to be catapulted and encouraged by the Reedy River Riot and the rest of the Greenville faithful. Greenville currently sitting in 6th place as that game between Madison and Knoxville has kicked off. Meanwhile, North Carolina FC sitting at the top of the table and looking to add 3 points to maintain that position. Ask John Bradford, how different is it this year when in years past they've been sort of the underdog, that they come into the game with the plucky mentality to prove themselves, but this season they're the ones with the target on their backs, and how different has that been for them? And he said, well, I mean, they got a different group of guys this year, and he continued by saying, we've been focused on not taking it for granted each week, and it's helpful because he says the guys are challenging each other in training every day, every week, and when you've got the sort of talent that this roster has, if you could keep everyone sharp in training, that'll help you on game day. No complacency.
John Bradford, anything better than what the last 2 years have been, I think he's going to take. Not going to complain about it at all.
Oh, certainly not. And there he is now. And there they are. Looking to be the first of 50 this season. Omaha and Richmond also at this point underway, which means Omaha are sitting at 47 points, which pokes them ahead of Northern Colorado temporarily. The Hailstorm playing tomorrow. Walker with a service inside. This header, contact was made with it, but ultimately not a dangerous effort.
2 late games are underway. Knoxville at Madison, Richmond at Omaha.
Games worth tuning into after this one concludes. Obviously, I'm going to recommend the Madison-Knoxville game for not only the Greenville fans, but also for the North Carolina fans, because that's the game with the 2 teams sitting right around that playoff line. A victory for either side sees them over top of Greenville. For Madison, a draw even does that. And for North Carolina, they will be fans of Madison getting the win over This one given away. Perez, nice ball forward, but not close enough to Garrett McLaughlin. So Mazzola will look to distribute it.
Same page there. I was just about to ask you.
Can't watch the match? Turn on Sirius XM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access Tuesday nights at 7 Eastern. Plus your live matches from the USL, MLS, English Premier League, and more. All on Sirius XM FC 157 and the SXM app. Like I said, Ross, a positive first 10 minutes for Greenville here, similarly to how it started in this game. But then the penalty turned things around, and North Carolina didn't look back from there. Lee, always good with the ball at his feet. And that one parried away by Flores Blanco. 74 degrees in Greenville, South Carolina. Great weather to play some footy. Pilato wins this one back, shoots, it deflects, but it falls to the right-hand side. Here's a shot, and it's off the crossbar. A prime moment for Greenville to sink in a strike, and Alan Gavilanes was close to testing the keeper, but ends up hitting the woodwork.
A little more urgency here. Good work by Devin Boyce to dispossess Perez. Brenda Fricky completely destroyed Fernandez with that shot. Just the wrong side of the bar for Alan Gavilanes.
So we're going to get 3 substitutions, all of which of the offensive variety for the Greenville Triumph. So Pilato comes out for Coutinho. You've got Labovitz, Gavilanes coming out for Venton Evans. And then Devin Boyce subbing out for Liam McKinnon. And this is the adjustment John Harkes needs to make in this game. All of these substitutions brought to you by Spinks. Once again, Evans for Gavilanes, Coutinho for Pilato, and Liam McKinnon for Devin Boyce, and that is going to be our adjustment of the match presented by Upstate Spine and Sport. Ross, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, but what do these substitutions tell you?
John Harkes has seen enough. He hasn't got to the hour mark, and he hasn't seen enough in this final third. Evans, we haven't seen much of him lately. A real chance here to try and vault himself into John Harkes' good books. Get him back into the mix, the starting mix for sure. So Evans and McKinnon on the wings, 2 straight swaps there. Coutinho, a little more of an offensive threat than Pilato.
Evans, just his 13th appearance this season. Castro, I'm going to find Evans there. And that one ended up being dished out by Lou Young.
Yeah, Venton Evans hasn't even been in the squad for 5 of the last 7. Just sort of the odd man out on the wing for John Harkes. Former Fort Lauderdale man, a chance here to prove himself.
So 1 substitution for John Bradford's side. Luis Arriaga going to come into the game for Garrett McLaughlin. McLaughlin, a guy who's got 6 goals and 6 assists this season, and really showed some patience in his goal he scored on Wednesday. I asked about that patience and about his growth as a player since he's come to North Carolina, and John Bradford said you go from being 2nd in the league and scoring last year into a different role this year, and then you pick up an injury in the preseason. He's just really shown maturity, and that goal is a good indicator of that patience and growth that he's developed over his time with North Carolina. This throw, still stuck in the fray. Wobbled around. Evans chips this one back in. 2 players around it. Lee back into the fire. Coutinho's header just wide. Just the miscommunication there between Shaw and Fricky. But still something to come of it, and Coutinho couldn't quite put it on frame.
Yeah, if that one had been on target, I think it would have found the far corner. Thompson was beaten. That's what these subs are being brought on to do, create some more chances. Try and get back into this game.
You mentioned Benton Evans being the odd man out in the lineup, a luxury that John Harkes is happy to have now. At this point, as far as injuries are concerned, just Tyler Polak, who is for sure out week by week as it stands, but they're trying to get him back into training next week. Obviously, you got to go by the schedule of how things feel, but they're looking to get it back into the swing of things before the season concludes.
Yeah, they certainly missed Tyler Polak out there. His leadership especially.
Just a rock of a player. Greenville will have to, as they have been since his departure and injury, make do in this game without him. Down 2 goals, a penalty in the 10th minute, and then Olex Anderson doing the magic work in the 24th minute to make it 2-0. Mensingen bobbling with the ball at his feet. Is it knocked away from him? Evans brings it down. Perez spraying it out wide. Shaw gets there first. Now Lyon McKinnon, who scored a goal in the last meeting between these two, which gave Greenville the lead in that match. Trying to get involved in this one.
That was his first half. Towards the end of the first half, I think Tevin Shaw playing more right back now. Greenville trying to go back to a back 4. Certainly limited North Carolina's chances, especially in the second half.
Foul there on Shaw by Luis Arriaga. Will mean a free kick for Greenville.
At this time, we would like to announce tonight's Bud Zero safe driver of the match.
Arriaga subbing into this game.
We did see Shaw play some right back earlier this season, the first couple of months when they were all banged up.
So a lot of different options there. We saw Jonah Bigger early in the season, Tevin Shaw. Had to wait for Nate Schultz to get healthy. Noah Frankie wasn't healthy yet either. Shaw having to carry this one and then drill it back to Mazzola. Shaw stepping on that one once again and heavily involved here. Sniffing out danger on several occasions. This one being played out wide. Pass driven in. Oh, that's a fabulous deflection, but the flag goes up.
That was a filthy finish. Unfortunately, it's not going to count. Hopefully we'll get a look at another replay.
Nathan and Talu trying to get into the score sheet in style. Arriaga keep things going forward for North Carolina. Like you said, Ross, filthy work from him. That's a good run. Liu Young plays it across the center. Another moment for Intalu. All right, let's take a look at that one again, just real quick. You see Intalu running forward.
Maybe just a half a yard offside, but what a finish. I'm not even sure how he put that in.
Do you think he got a deflection off of Smith, too? I mean, that's fantastic work.
Is there an award for no goal of the
year?
Of the week?
The goal that could have been of the week. We don't get a ton of them in USL League One, but I'm sure there are competitions in leagues where VAR is incorporated that you get more of those. Smith. Pop this one forward. Labovitz keeps it in play and in possession of Greenville. I feel like if they're going to come back into this game, they need to find a goal here soon to give them ample time to find a second. Louis Perez, the guilty party here. Greenville get another chance at a set piece. They'll play it quickly. Coutinho steps inside. He could use his right boot. He shoots. And it's saved by Brooks Thompson. It goes right towards the keeper.
The first shot on goal for the Greenville Triumph comes in the 68th minute.
Lucas Coutinho. I think we're talking before the game, Ross, that when it comes to this Greenville Triumph team and their lineup, the best Greenville Triumph this season is a Greenville Triumph with Lucas Coutinho on the pitch. Just the creativity and ball skill he brings. So crucial, especially given their struggles recently offensively. Need some of that Coutinho magic here on this final stretch of the season, and they also could use it here this evening.
He just got that creativity and inventiveness that can create chances.
Evans with the throw in. Go ahead.
Evans another guy that can do it. He can get inside as well at times.
We saw it from him last season with Greenville, and of course we saw it from him with Fort Lauderdale. Of course, that high-octane Fort Lauderdale offense. Goals aplenty on both ends of the pitch with those guys.
Yeah, you see obviously some of them going on to play in MLS now for Inter Miami.
Drake Callender, the starting goalkeeper, also got a call up to the U.S. men's national team.
He do the old head there after tonight's Inter Miami game. He won't participate against Kazakhstan, maybe against Oman in the week. Noah Allen.
Yeah.
Allen has seen time on at the fullback spot, occasionally in midfield as well.
It is crazy to see players that were playing in League One celebrating with Lionel Messi on a regular basis.
Right.
Kevin Shaw, we mentioned earlier, shifting over to that right back spot, trying to fortify defensively a bit more. Being guilty of the call here.
It just helped him on his way, similar to the foul that led to the penalty. Obviously that one was by Castro, who's had a very quiet night tonight, Leo Castro.
Free kick comes inside, headed straight up. Smith gets a head on it, still in the fray. And a whistle's gonna blow. Leo Castro, the one drawing the foul there on David Garcia, and it'll be a free kick, effectively a goal kick for the Greenville Triumph. National Suicide Prevention Week is September 10th through September 16th. To support the mental health of our communities, the USL has partnered with the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Need support? Call or text 988 now. You are not alone.
We talked coming into the game about all the goals flying in League One, Mark. We haven't got any in the other 3 games so far. Reaching the half-hour mark in Madison and Omaha. Game in Charlotte's a few minutes behind this one, but no goals there either.
Yeah, so much for the low-scoring 2-1 game we jested about earlier.
Chattanooga with 20 shots now to Charlotte's 2. Only 5 shots on target, though. An XG of 1.41. They haven't managed to put one in the back of the net yet.
Greenville trying to put a few in the back of the net here in this game. Evans couldn't get on the end of that one.
Former Greenville man Marius Lomas with 6 shots of his own so far.
Wow.
None on target.
Scored his first goal with Chattanooga last weekend. And an emphatic win over Forward Madison at home. Coutinho just doing what he can. Looking to combine with McKinnon. And it's another goal kick.
We do finally have a goal somewhere else, Mark. The Charlotte Independents, with their 3rd shot of the game, have found the back of the net.
All it takes is one. All it takes is one shot.
Give you a goal scorer in a minute, but that's a big one in the playoff race. Keeps Charlotte within reach of those top 2 spots. The top 3 were starting to pull away a little bit. A win there tonight for Charlotte would keep them certainly in the mix.
It'll be North Carolina possession here as they're looking to foray forward. Seven games left this season, including this one. John Bradford said, you just have to get it right going forward. That was after their loss against Omaha. And I think given the compact week, going on the road to 2 tough places, I think he'll be pretty pleased with how his side has performed today. They've taken the chances given to them, but now Greenville trying to make something happen here. Breakaway's been subdued. And then now, the possession has been given away.
Trezor Mbuyu in the 68th minute for the Charlotte Independents.
Now, talking about North Carolina and Trezor Mbuyu reminds me of this. This is the 3rd occasion in League One history that we've had a pair of double-digit goal scorers in a season for a team. One happened last year, one happened the year prior. Of course, this year, Rafa Mensingen and Olex Anderson. Now, when you look at the goal-scoring tally leaderboard, I would venture to say that probably another team may join North Carolina in that regard by the season's end, given the high volume of goals we've seen. But Rafa Mensingen and Olex Anderson, only the 3rd duo in League One to accomplish it. Last year, it was the aforementioned Trezor Mbuyu and Corey Bennett for the Charlotte Independents. And in 2021, the League One champions Union Omaha had that deadly, deadly combo of Greg Hurst and Evan Conway. And Conway didn't even play the whole season.
2 guys now plying their trade in USL League One. USL Championship. I think Evan Conway's having himself a pretty good season, if I remember last time I checked his stats. Check him again now while we have a player down. Conway with 10 goals on the season.
Another double-digit year
for the San Diego Loyal. Obviously, he'll have to find a new job next season, unfortunately, with the Loyal not coming back.
So Max Flick is the one who went down. Subbed in for Luis Perez a couple minutes ago. The pat on the back from John Bradford. Flick, a 3rd-year man with the team. He's been with them and playing with them since they came to League One. His 14th appearance this season.
Miguel Ibarra with the assist on that Independence goal is 8th of the season.
trying to catch up to Arthur Rogers.
Another great season by the veteran.
Max Flickman allowed back onto the pitch. Once again, our officiating crew led by John Rush. We also got Sharon Gingrich, Kendall McCardell, Kendall McCardell, and then Island Pexanar as the fourth official. Smith, the ball up the pitch. It's Evans now. This one falls to Lee. He'll look to keep it in play, and he doesn't do so. Didn't look like he did.
Yeah, this game just seems to be kind of fizzling out for Greenville. Not able to control the ball in that final third and create some chances. Is DJ Benton going to get a shot here?
Rafa Mensingen, the other goal scorer, will make way for DJ Benton. Scored a game-winning goal against Central Valley Fuego last weekend. Mensingen going to take all the time he wants to get off the pitch here. Got the day right early for North Carolina. The Brazilian up to 11 goals on the year.
Speaking of fizzling out, North Carolina, it's been 35 minutes now since North Carolina have had a shot of any kind. This game's sort of fizzling out. It's both sides, really.
When you look at some of the substitutions John Bradford has made in this game, you've got Flick in for Louis Perez. That's defense for offensive firepower. Luis Arriaga in for McLaughlin. Arriaga, more of a stabilizing player. Devin Benton, a defensive player, subbing in for Mensingen. Raheem Summersall in for Cervania. Summersall, more of a possession-based midfielder. Basically, just Intalu sitting up top at this point in time as a goal-scoring presence.
Yeah, coming off a short week, obviously with the game on Wednesday. On the road with a 2-0 lead. Just want to try and watch this one through to the end if you're a North Carolina fan. Pick up the 3 points.
Mikey Maldonado, of course, playing in that holding midfielder role. He does have some attacking bite to him. He played outside. Well, his career, pretty much, he played out at a fullback position up until this season. John Bradford saw the number 6 in him.
Lucas Coutinho is kicking the ball away with his team down 2-0. All right. Evans with just a little too much contact there from behind.
Just a little bout between him and DJ Benton.
Understand that from Lucas, but
perhaps some frustration leaking through. Arriaga with the ball inside. This one comes back out, a chance for 3. Max Flick, the one who was on the front side of that one. Now Benton plays it in centrally. Intalu now. That's actually Summersall, and his shot's off target. Summersall winding around. Tough angle to shoot that one. Another substitution coming for the Greenville Triumph while we have a player down. That's Nelson Flores Blanco. So he'll come in for Brandon Fricky. The substitution brought to you by Spinks.
Yeah, I assume Jamie Smith might pinch into the true center back role there. Schultz to the right center back, perhaps. They could move Lee to the middle as well. Maybe Smith to the left. Schultz can also push up a bit.
Brandon Fricke maybe not the most pleased with the substitution decision. We're going to manage minutes here, especially as the hopes for a result here are dwindling. DJ Benton with his man making a run. That's Christian Liu Young, but opts to play it back. Intalu out to Liu Young. Liu Young maybe given the liberty to press further forward now with the likes of Benton and Max Flick in the game. Maybe in a bit of a trading situation between him and DJ Benton. Taking turns to go forward. There's John Harkes. We mentioned earlier that Chattanooga game and the shot disparity. Charlotte able to get a goal on much fewer shots. It was a couple of months ago I talked to John Harkes about that mental focus that for 90 minutes, it's a game of moments, the sport of soccer, and that you got to be sharp in those moments. You never know when they're going to come, but you have to be sharp when those moments come. And how do you prepare for that? And he said, well, that's entirely down to the players. A drive and passion sort of deal. You got to be able to maintain it throughout the game. So it has nothing to do with coaching in that category. When the moment comes, is your head in the right place?
Yeah, Greenville got to get their heads in the right place for the next two road matches at Knoxville, at Richmond. Two games that they're going to have to get something out of. They're going to really want to cement their place in the playoffs. If they don't get a win in either of those two, things are going to be very interesting down the stretch. Especially if Knoxville can get something tonight at Madison.
Still 0-0 there.
It is still 0-0 on that one, approaching halftime, as well as in Omaha.
Arriaga with some room to work with, just driving down that left hand. Plays it across. Benton winds up the shot, and it's off target. DJ Benton looking for a second goal.
Greenville counting themselves lucky that he took the first time touch here. DJ Benton had time to bring this one down. Well, maybe he did. Venton Evans was coming back quickly from that angle.
Very open, though, on the breakaway, DJ Benton. You're all right, though. They'll be counting their blessings that it was a DJ Benton and not a Rafa Mensingen or Louis Perez, who are usually making those runs on the wing.
Up next for North Carolina, a home game against Tormenta on next Saturday, and then they've also got that midweek trip to Fuego on the 20th, and then a trip to NOCO, home against Omaha, at Lexington, and then home against Knoxville. So there's some tricky ones in there. You know, Tormenta are going to come in as a desperate team next weekend.
Yeah, that's a Tormenta side where the odds are not in their favor at this point in time. Low percentage chance of making the playoffs, but boy, do they have the firepower to just throw everything at you game by game. That is not a team you want to be playing right now, unless you have the ability to withstand some of the firepower and just wait for your moment in a game, because they have been susceptible defensively. Evans just letting that one go out, and he gets it handed to him by his coach. This segment of the match brought to you by ScanSource, accelerating growth for partners and calling Greenville home for 30 years. New Castro, the one with the push. That gave the penalty to North Carolina early in this one.
Independents have doubled their lead. Corey Bennett.
Well, look at that. Mbuyu and Bennett scoring. The dynamic duo.
Second half in this game, only one shot on target between the two teams. 8 shots total.
Yeah, it was that Lucas Coutinho effort from well out that went straight to the keeper.
Greenville have obviously hit the woodwork twice. Both times off the crossbar. Game just sort of limped to an end here.
Which I'm sure
this
North
last
Carolina
half an hour. Oh yeah, they're not going to complain.
Yeah,
Mark,
they'll prefer that. Brooks Thompson. Now 9 starts this season. We'll be looking for 10 next weekend at home against Tormenta. Bit of a tangling challenge there from Benton. And it looks like we may be getting another booking. DJ Benton getting his 4th yellow card of the season. Evans has been knocked into by Benton. And a ball that was lobbed up by Greenville, caught by Brooks Thompson. Nothing to come of that one.
With that Charlotte hold on to their victory, that'll get them within 4 points of Omaha. 3 points if Omaha lose tonight against Knoxville.
Haven't done a lot of losing recently.
No.
Omaha.
7 straight wins. What a run it's been for Dom Cassiato's men. Took them a little while to get going this season, but they've certainly figured it out now.
They've just found that little extra gear that they needed to turn those draws. Because I remember early in the season, the discussion was Omaha can't buy a result, and they're continuing to draw every team they play against. But it's a fine margin between draws and victories, and they've been able to cross that threshold. Luis Arriaga, the opportunity to serve up something nice here on the set piece. Up 2 goals already. Now knocking around Maldonado trying to hit that one nicely. And he did everything but that.
It was a pass.
Somersault in the corner. After he saw no options, he retreated to the corner and wins his team a corner kick. Arriaga again as we enter the 90th minute of the game. And he'll play it short. One more Greenville substitution incoming, but there'll be another North Carolina throw first. Oh, they're going to allow the substitution to come on. Leonardo Castro's night has come to an end, and Noah Frankie will get a couple minutes before the final whistle blows. This substitution brought to you by Spinks.
Last 12 games, Greenville with only 3 multi-goal games. By the amount of offense that's being produced in League One at the moment, that's not going to cut it. John Harkes try and figure something out here.
Coutinho get the throw. Well, they started off the season rough, Greenville, but that was more so an availability and player injury issue. Finding themselves in a bit of a funk here as the season's getting close to a close. It'll be a funk that they're going to be having to try and work themselves out of before the playoffs approach. And we've got 6 minutes of stoppage time brought to you by Engineered Sleep, the best handmade mattresses in town. Visit engineeredsleep.com for better sleep.
The thing about Greenville this season is they've been taking advantage of playing the lower teams. They've beaten Fuego, they've beaten Lexington, they've beaten Charlotte twice, which is, I think if I remember, the only 2 playoff teams they've beaten. Fuego again, Chattanooga, Madison they did beat 1-0, Knoxville, Tormenta. A lot of wins against teams below them in the table, but they've really struggled against the other playoff teams for the most part, especially North Carolina, Omaha. Do get some games, a few more games against some of those lower placed teams down the stretch here, but on the road.
Mentioned a road trip to Richmond and Knoxville, and those are 2 teams that are not going to make it easy. Of course, Knoxville still has something to play for, and if you think going to City Stadium is ever an easy endeavor, you'd be mistaken.
Still sort of waiting for that signature win, Mark, right? There's 2 wins against Charlotte. Charlotte have had their up and downs this season, have looked great at times and not so great at times. Thought this might have been the game that could have propelled Greenville to a strong finish, but it's not going to be tonight.
He provides the clearance. Meanwhile, North Carolina FC continue to prove that even in nights where guns weren't blazing for them this evening, it wasn't like they were peppering Greenville shot after shot. But the fact of the matter is sometimes the proof of a quality team is that when something comes to your plate, you take it and you eat it. And that's what they've done.
Yeah, they got those 2 goals and then just shut up shop, basically. They haven't done a whole ton offensively since that second goal, and they haven't needed to. Just sat back, and Greenville really haven't come at them. That's the disappointing part, that North Carolina haven't really looked a threat at all in the other final third, and Greenville hasn't managed to push some bodies forward and take advantage of that.
It's coasting to 3 points here on the road in a series sweep. Greenville hasn't had a lot of success against North Carolina in recent matches. Of course, you've got the 2 losses earlier this season, the impending loss here, barring a miraculous comeback.
I mentioned they haven't given up many goals this season, Mark. They've only got 1 clean sheet in the last 9.
This one popped forward. Shaw trying to square it.
And that one was that 0-0 draw on the road at Hailstorm, which is a solid point. When you're not scoring, if you're not keeping clean sheets, wins are going to be hard to come by.
And to expand upon my statement I just made a moment ago, Greenville just 1 win in the last 5 matchups and about to be 6 here against North Carolina FC. Ball driven in, and it will trickle out of bounds. And it'll be a PNC corners for kids. It's been a hot minute since North Carolina FC has had a clean sheet, mind you. Last time they had one was July 26th against Northern Colorado, excuse me. North Carolina, Northern Colorado here. Frankie with the curling cross, headed away. Yeah, 8 games between their clean sheets. If they can hold this one out. It'd also be the first clean sheet for Brooks Thompson. Arriaga making the run. Finds Maldonado and Talu. And he'll go over to the corner and set up shot. Just a minute left to go in this one. A business-like 3 points for North Carolina here. Come in, get the job done, and see your way out on a busy week. Do your best to not make it a crazy one and just get the job done.
So you get your choice of two other games to tune over to after this one. Both at halftime right now. Madison, Knoxville. Knoxville with 8 shots in the first half there. It's probably got a little more writing on it, that one. Richmond, Omaha.
Omaha looking to make it 8 straight victories. Already have the League One record in their clutches. As Brooks Thompson, with the 6 minutes expired, blasts this one out and claims his first clean sheet with North Carolina FC. They came in, they scored twice, and they come away with 3 points. At the end of this weekend, it'll be North Carolina FC still at the top of the table, bouncing back after a midweek loss. Doing so in comfortable style here on the road. They sweep the Greenville Triumph on the season, and they're the first team to 50 points on the year. As we see Rafa Mensingen, who scored the game-winning goal on the penalty, talking to Brandon Fricky. We'll step aside for a moment. When we come back, we'll give you our post-game thoughts here on ESPN+. We'll see you on the other side.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, really wanna know.
You know, I'm just feeling a lot of pressure. There's big shoes to fill.
It's your time now, Tommy. I know you'll keep it special like your dad did.
If we can keep this business growing, I think that's the best way to honor him.
Well, I was there for him, and I'll be there for you.
About this new location?
He would have loved it, Tommy. Let's find a way.
Whenever the Greenville Triumph score not 1, but 2 goals during any home game, fans score big with 10% off on all fresh, scratch-made food at Habitat. Just grab a table, show your game day ticket while wearing your Triumph gear. Don't forget, you can always come cheer on the team while watching the away games during our watch parties. Habitat, proud sponsor of the Greenville Triumph.
Time for your high-flying plays of the match, brought to you by GSP Airport. 10th minute, it's a penalty. It is Leo Castro pushing the charging Garrett McLaughlin. Rafa Mensingen tacks in the game winner early on in the game to make it 1-0. They would find another one to make it safe, and here it is right now. Olix Anderson, usually call him Golix Anderson. I guess a Cystix Anderson doesn't quite roll off the tongue as easily, but it does get the job done here. Pinging it off of his teammate's shins makes it 2-0 in favor of North Carolina, and that is all she wrote for the visiting side to claim all 3 points in this game. But the game would not be over, though, of course, Ross. Greenville would try to find opportunities to get back into this one. 58th minute. Here's a prime opportunity. It would fall over to Alan Gavilanez, and he would strike it against the woodwork. Then a couple moments later, Greenville will continue to pour it on. This floated effort would spill around a couple times. Lee would serve it back in, and Coutinho was not quite on target. As we take a look at the full-time stats brought to you by Coca-Cola. Once again, Greenville had possession, but like we said before the game closed, North Carolina took the opportunities they needed to take, took advantage of them, got the lead, set up shop, get to go home with 3 points in a business-like manner.
That's a recipe every time for 3 points on the road, Mark. Early goals and then sit back.
I mean, it's the way the Greenville Triumph have done it a lot during their time in USL League One. But with that in mind, that is the end of our broadcast here on ESPN Plus. For our entire broadcasting crew, Ross Davenport, I'm Mark Schoenster. We appreciate you tuning in. We hope you have a fantastic night. We recommend you tune in to Knoxville and Madison or Omaha and Richmond. Interesting storylines in both of those games. But for those, this is the end of your night in League One viewership. We hope you have a good one, and we'll see you next time.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League League One cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League League One.